A stranger breaks into her house, attacks her family, drives her away. No Amber Alert, no leads. She had one advantage. Her kidnapper handed her a cell phone and made her call for pizza. Big mistake. Jeanette Tamayo stepped off her school bus in San Jose, California on an ordinary afternoon. The 9-year-old walked toward home, expecting nothing more than an afternoon of homework and television. When she reached her front door, she noticed the screen was slightly ajar. She assumed her mother had returned early from work and pushed it open. Inside, silence. She walked to her bedroom and froze. The window had been smashed from the outside. Broken glass covered her floor and scattered across her blankets. Someone had been inside her home while she was at school. She turned to run to the phone. The cord had been cut. Before she could scream, a knock came from the front door. A stranger stood behind the screen. The man asked questions about her parents. When are they coming home? Who else is here? He kept peeking past her into the hallway. She felt something wrong and started closing the sliding door. He stopped it with his hand. He pushed through and grabbed her. He carried her to her brother's bedroom and threw her onto the mattress. What followed lasted nearly 30 minutes. Out of respect for Jeanette, those details are not repeated here. When he finished, he handcuffed her wrists behind her back. He tied her legs together with rope. He carried her to the garage and placed her in the back seat of his car. He tried to lift the garage door. It only opened a few inches. Through that gap, a car pulled up. It was her mother returning home. Her brother, Paul, only 15 years old, saw the garage door lift slightly and crawled underneath. Jeanette whispered to him to run. The attacker was already walking toward Paul. Paul grabbed a screwdriver from the counter and charged. The man disarmed him instantly and began punching his face repeatedly. Inside the house, Rosalia heard the struggle and ran toward her son. She managed to pull the man off Paul. Then Paul grabbed a frying pan from the kitchen cabinet. Before he could swing it, the man took it from his hands and turned it against Rosalia. He struck her again and again until she collapsed to the floor. Jeanette could not move. She could only listen from the back seat as her mother's screams went quiet. The man rushed back into the garage with blood smeared across his face. Jeanette asked if he had killed her family. He just laughed. She started crying, certain they were gone. He drove through a neighbor's bushes and sped onto the street. Jeanette fought against her restraints and turned her head toward the house. Through the rear window, she saw her mother running behind the car. Rosalia's face was covered in blood, but she was alive. Paul limped toward a group of bystanders, waving one arm and screaming for someone to call police. Then the car turned the corner. Jeanette slammed her shoulder against the window to get the attention of passing drivers. Her attacker grabbed the screwdriver and struck her twice. She slid to the floor and prepared herself to die. Detective Heather Randall arrived at the Tamayo home and found blood throughout the kitchen and garage. Her team collected samples while bloodhounds began searching the neighborhood. Neither Jeanette nor her attacker had been injured during the initial attack, so the dogs found nothing useful. A neighbor's security camera provided a rough timeline, but no clear image of the license plate. In California, an Amber Alert requires a name, plate number, or phone number. The footage was too low quality to read anything. Randall could not issue a statewide alert. She turned to the media instead. Helicopters flew over San Jose with loudspeakers calling Jeanette's name. Press conferences repeated her description and photo. Flyers covered the city, but after 48 hours, police told Rosalia that most kidnapped children are never found. Jeanette kept mental notes of every turn the car made. When they stopped at a large white house, he carried her upstairs to a locked room. A bed, a small window, a television, and a bathroom. After each assault, he handcuffed her wrist to the shower head and ran the water. That became her only safe place because he would not touch her there. On the second morning, she watched the news. Her cousin spoke directly to the camera, telling Jeanette to be strong and not give up. That moment changed something inside her. She decided she would either escape or die trying. She began a strategy. She asked her captor where he was from. He smiled. She smiled back. She needed him to trust her, even if it made her sick to pretend. She asked for a glass of water. He handcuffed her to the bed frame and left the room. Alone for the first time, she worked the metal cuffs with her fingers. The lock was mechanical, a small button, and a latch. When she moved the latch one way and pressed the button, the handcuffs opened. She had less than a minute. She grabbed his watch from the nightstand. She took a small clay turtle from a pile of toys he had left for her. She ran to the bathroom and grabbed her underwear. Crime shows taught her that investigators use clothing in assault cases. She wanted him punished. She heard footsteps on the stairs and jumped back onto the bed. She locked the handcuffs into place just as he walked through the door. He did not notice anything wrong. On the third day, he asked if she was hungry. She said yes. He handed her his cell phone and made her call for pizza. She recited the phone number to the cashier. The man on the other end asked for the address. Her captor told her the address. She memorized every word. When the pizza arrived, he left the room and returned with the box. On top of it sat a missing person flyer with her photograph. He looked at her and said he had to get rid of her that night. He left again. She threw the pizza aside and stuffed his watch, the turtle, her underwear, and the flyer inside the empty box. She hid it under the bed. He returned with a pillow and pressed it against her face. She fought for air until her vision darkened. She slipped her face to the side at the last last second and took one breath. He pulled the pillow away and asked if she wanted a shower. She dressed quickly, making sure the evidence was still hidden in her pockets. He drove her to a liquor store parking lot near the highway. He grabbed her hair, pulled her close, and said that if she ever told anyone what happened, he would return to kill her entire family. Then he let her go. She ran inside. The cashier recognized her from the news and called 911. Detective Randall arrived and asked if Jeanette could find the house. Jeanette directed patrol cars from the back seat, calling out left and right turns. She stopped them in front of the White House. She was certain. SWAT entered and found David Montiel Cruz hiding in the attic. Dogs were released when Cruz threatened officers. He was arrested with 9 felony charges including rape, burglary, and battery. Inside the house, police found the pizza box still under the bed. At the hospital, Jeanette saw her mother for the first time since the attack. Rosalia's face was swollen beyond recognition. Jeanette touched her cheek and said she was hurt. Rosalia later described seeing her daughter as a second birth. Jeanette spent years unable to leave her home, afraid of men and the outside world. At 15, after years of therapy, something changed. She decided to become what saved her. Today, she studies law enforcement. She wants to be a detective. She speaks for the missing. She says every person is a fighter. She turned her fear into courage and got her family back.